So, welcome back to Crotoflick. My name is Chad Bradle, and it's been a while. Yes, I do apologize. Unfortunately, things don't always work out the way you want them to, kind of like the giant delay in making the DIY for the camera slider, which I am going to give you information about today regarding that. But before I do, I wanted to inform you about a YouTube meetup that's going to be taking place at Cedar Point on September 14th, and we're going to be meeting around 9 a.m. in the morning. Woo, pretty early. But we're going to be meeting around 9 a.m. out in the parking lot around some area. But there's going to be a link down below to that Facebook event. If you wish to attend, feel free. Anyone in the area who wants to join up, say hello to me, meet me, whatever. Maybe have questions for me. I don't know. There's also going to be a small handful of other YouTubers, unless we can get more YouTubers to go. That would be awesome. I would say if you are within, a drive to get there, that would be pretty cool. I'm going to be driving about a little over 6 hours myself just to get down there, and I'm going to be staying the night and then just heading over early in the morning from a place I'll be staying at. But yeah, if you can, go ahead, make that, and I'll see you there. Now, regarding the camera slider. A while back, I posted a test video of me operating this camera slider that I was talking about. And unfortunately, while I was making the DIY, one thing after another seemed to snowball into problems. When I made my original sled that I was using, but I knew I was going to modify for you guys because I was using screws that stuck out and had these little points. I just wanted to replace them with some bolts. Well, I originally had the wrong bolt size to go through the plate. This is actually the original sled. It's raised conduit plate you've seen on the Croto cranes, the exact same one, and pieces I had cut from a cutting board that it's actually the exact same cutting board from my original camera slider, the Chronox slider. And then I had to get these special bolts that are a little smaller than the ones I currently had. But the problem I ran into was, while I was making that, I realized I needed smaller bolts. So what I ended up doing was, in the meantime that night, I took this, which is the track, and you can see it's nice and black, and yeah. But anyways, I ended up taking this, which is aluminum, 4 foot, and I decided I was going to paint it, because why not? I might as well go all out for this project, right? So I took it, I hung it up by a bolt that is just on the inside, and that was immediately my first mistake. Do not hang things when you go to paint them, because if you happen to put a little too much paint on it, it's going to run, which creates thick spots. You do not want thick spots in your track. So if your sled is gliding along the edge here, it'll hit a thick spot, and it might slow your track down, or your sled down. Problem number one. Actually, I'll make a problem number two, but problem number one, or number two, which is actually number one, if you follow me. Anyways, I had to clean the aluminum, and what I had used was called Fast Orange. Fast Orange has pumice in it, or pumice, or whatever you want to call it. But anyways, it's gritty, and it really did a great job cleaning it. The problem is, even though I thought I had cleaned it off very well after washing it with Fast Orange, it left these tiny little grains that when the paint hit it, it made dots all along inside of the paint, which made another problem. And I'm like, oh my gosh. But I dealt with it. I ended up putting multiple coats of paint on it, and then I decided I was going to clear coat it, which led to another problem, because after I clear coated it, instead of being, shiny and smooth like I was expecting the clear coat to be, it turned into like sandpaper, and I don't know why. So, and this is over multiple days, because I got to let all this dry for all these coats. And so I ended up sanding off all of the clear coat. And then what I ended up doing was I ended up, just for the heck of it, trying Armor All. Armor All is something I used in my first camera slider, which actually works very well. And at first it was working very well. My sled slid along here very good, except it had a bit more noise, or quite a bit more noise than I was hoping for. But anyways, I let my sled just rest on here overnight with it on the tripod. And when I came back to use it the next day, I noticed that it was actually stuck to the track, and it actually left these, I mean, you probably can't see it from there, but they had left these little impression marks of where it was making contact with my track. And I think what happened was the Armor All reacted to the cutting board. It might have it melted it almost and stuck it to it. So that led to another problem. And so now I got these little dings in here, and well, I went back to what I was originally using, which was turtle car wax. So I turtle car waxed this about 3 layers, and that right there does a great job. Turtle car wax is what I'm going to end up using for this, by the way. But the turtle car wax wasn't enough to fill these little bumps in here, and all of this just added up. And then I ended up discovering, which is like a punch in the face, essentially. Let me get it here. Was my cutting board. I found out that over all these days, over this month of just messing around with things and trying to get things to work properly, that the cutting board right here, as you see, that I had originally used, pretty strong, and cut into slits, mainstays, they changed it, and they changed the design to this. It has this inset box, which makes it a lot more flexible and weaker. And this is much stronger. This is exactly what we want. So they messed with my design, and now I do not have the original design to share with you guys technically how to build a sled for the track. So what I'm gonna have to do is rethink of a new way to make a sled, and I do have a couple ideas. One involving the same little furniture sliders I used from my Chronox camera slider. And what I'll probably end up doing is taking these, possibly, I'll kind of show you here, taking these, and since there's this little gap right here, this is what we're going to be grabbing onto and sliding down. I'm going to be taking these, and I'm going to bend them around this, but what I need is some type of U-shaped insert to hold on to the slider feet at 4 different points so the track will move slidely. So the sled will move smoothly along this, and it is super smooth, and it is really quiet. So if I can get this to work, it's going to be great. That's where I'm at right now. So I really apologize for the delay, but I didn't want to give you guys something that no one was going to be able to build properly, and which is why there was such a huge delay. One problem led to another, which ultimately led me to discover that mainstays changed a main factor of the entire design. Another point of this was I wanted this to be something that most everyone in every country could build, hopefully. That is a big problem I've run into, is not everyone can find all the parts. And that, unfortunately, that's something that is kind of unsolvable, because for every single country, they're going to have one product that is easily accessible for them, but it's not anywhere else in the world. Like America has PVC fittings, and they're super cheap, but for some reason in other countries you either can't get them or they're ridiculously expensive. Woo! Yeah, so that's where I'm at. So yeah, so one more thing I'm probably going to change is right along here, I've put multiple bolt points to connect all this together. And I'm probably gonna end up turning those into pop rivets and adding a lot more to create more strength and more of a professional look. Plus I won't have these little bolt ends sticking out that could possibly catch any sled that we make. They actually can cause some problems, since we can only allow our sled to go in so far to grab so much of the track, which is fine as long as it's secure. But if we can grab a little bit more of the track, that'll be a little better. But that's where I'm at. This is what your track's gonna ultimately look like. It's gonna be 4-foot aluminum. And this track alone, I believe, when you're done, I mean, as it is right now with the bolts, I believe it's about $32 in America. But yeah, if you stuck around this long, I guess keep in mind, YouTube Meetup at Cedar Point, September 14th at 9 a.m. That's actually 2 hours before the thing even opens, so if you want to show up a little later, that's fine. Just giving time to hang out and chat. But yeah, link to that down below, and I hope to see any of you there. If you're a YouTuber, make sure you share this exact same YouTube event on your channel, and then we can just get bigger and bigger, you know what I mean? All right, I'll see you later.